Good evening. Welcome and thank you for joining us for Inlandia's pandemic poetry event as we reach the 1 year anniversary of California's formal shelter at home orders. My name is Janine Peroy-Gamblin, and I'm the program's coordinator for Inlandia Institute, a literary and cultural arts nonprofit based in inland Southern California. Before we begin, a few words. Inlandia Institute respectfully acknowledges and recognizes our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, water, and air, the Cahuilla, Tongva, Luiseno, and Serrano peoples and all of their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, the Inlandia region is home to many indigenous peoples from all over the world, and we express our gratitude to them for allowing us the opportunity to live and work on these homelands. For tonight's event, we are joined by Johnny Bender, Cati Porter, and other Inlandia writers as they share work written in response to the pandemic crisis and published in e-chapbooks that came out this past year: Pandemic Spring, Pandemic Summer, Natural Inspirations, Posts from the Pandemic, and Johnny and Cati's collaborative chapbook, Slow Unraveling of Living Ghosts. And I happen to have a copy right here. You may see one in a little while too, but there it is. Cati and Johnny's reading will be followed by an open mic. So to introduce them, poet and Doghouse bass player Johnny Bender follows the beat tradition in attitude, but also enjoys fiddling with form. He lives with his longtime wife, Renee, near the Box Springs Mountains in beautiful Moreno Valley. A short workshop he took with Allen Ginsberg at Naropa Institute in the summer of 1982 inspired Johnny to start the poetry performance troupe Poets in Distress that same year. Cati Porter is a poet, editor, essayist, arts administrator, wife, mother, daughter, friend. She is the author of 8 books and chapbooks, most recently, The Body at a Loss. Her poems and essays have been published in a variety of venues, both in print and online, with new work forthcoming in Hags on Fire. Cati lives in Riverside, where she has been sheltering in place since March 19th, 2020, exactly 1 year ago today. And now, let's go ahead and turn it over to Johnny and Cati.
Hi
Hello.
there, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
So nice to see you. Let's see if I can fix that. So a year ago today, I was sitting in this room and watching the news with a great deal of anxiety because a lot of things were going on in the world. We heard Gavin Newsom's order to stay at home, which we thought was going to be just for a few weeks. I even marked it on my calendar, checking off the days. And, for whatever reason, I turned to poetry, and then I sent that poem to John. So John responded, right?
That's right. Yeah, I was thinking that this pandemic would be very short-lived. I remember I was talking to my cousin in Italy, and he was saying that they were locked down at the time, and I thought, that's a bit extreme. Fortunately, we here have a better handle on things, but it turned out we didn't, or perhaps we did because they're on lockdown again. And Cati started sending me poems, which was a sanity saver. We were able to write back and forth, kind of a call and response. And then I also, when it looked like we were going to put a book out, enlisted my good friend, artist Steve Lossing, who also calls himself Steve Olution. And his slogan is, large bald man likes to hug. And of course, he misses hugging everyone now. I've known Steve since the beginning days of Poets in Distress, and he's just a wonderful illustrator. He illustrated all of my books, and he designed the cover. pardon me, he drew the cover drawing. I believe Don Hassett designed the cover. And let's see, let me find another one of his drawings. So it's another drawing. So at the end of this, I mean, I'm just amazed, and I'm so thankful to Cati for having us write these poems and put them in a book, because it documents the terrible early days of this plague that has taken so many people we've loved. And it's great having all of you here, because it means you've survived as we have. So I think we just have to tough it out a little longer. And, Cati, you ready to read some poems?
I totally agree. So yes, and then I'm really excited that we'll be sharing the stage with lots of our folks who are here today in the audience, who've all contributed to one of Inlandia's pandemic poetry projects this year. So yes, shall we go ahead? And I'll start with the poem that kicked us off. I read it, let's see. Okay, ticking. No light when I wake until the clamor of the bulb's bright noise. The hour falls open. Its intricate minutes expose their brass clockwork. I clip the wire with my teeth, see the seconds roll to the floor from the clipped wire thread, bead by bead, pool about my feet. I scoop them up and lick them from my palm. No, the contagion is on them. Do not use your tongue. The distance between, it is a tunnel of flannel. Oh, bed, you are my enemy.
Very cool. Then I'm going to read the last poem in the book, Letter to Self. Dear Johnny, life is a slow unraveling of shocks and surprises. Cherish yourself. Smile again. Stop worrying about more friends dying. Joys bloom boldly but wither at the end. Life seeds all gardens with grins and grimaces. Cherish both. Get out of the house more often. The corruption of COVID can never be unknotted. Stop waiting for dinner, dancing, and movies. Johnny, you must walk to the park more often. You must fish in the pond at the top of the hill. Move beyond your contingency plans. Remove your mask and love again. 3 dogs howl, but no one listens. Always a breeze comes later.
So our process was largely a call and response. So John would write one, and then I would write something in response. So the second poem in the collection is called A Cauldron of COVID, and that was one that John wrote. John, would you like to read that one? And then
I'd love to,
go
thanks.
with the next. Okay.
A Cauldron of COVID. Sniffle, snuffle, cough, and splutter. Sputum sprays and virus splatters. Spell number 1. The bride weeps, lonely and dismayed. No flowers, no gown, no bridesmaids, no tux, no feast, no groomsmen. Her parents can't leave the house, and her wheezing groom can't travel. Market's empty, test kits lacking, sputum sprays and virus splatters. Spell 2. The muses weep, housebound and gagged. No jazz, no big band, no Bach, no pop, no poems, no art, no film, no teepee. The taverns are closed, but the dispensaries are open. Fearful, doubtful, leaders lying, sputum sprays and virus splatters. Spell 3. COVID grins secretly spreading. Dead Chinese, dead Italians, dead Spaniards, dead Americans, dead silence. The old man stopped breathing, and there's still no vaccine. Sniffle, snuffle, cough, and splutter, sputum sprays and virus splatters.
What is a cauldron but a glorified pot? Bubble, bubble, burble, gurgle. Double bubble, hubba bubba. Chew, but don't spit. Clorox wipe it. Don't touch your face. Don't kiss your wife. No touchdowns, No stealing base. Don't hug the clown. Don't frown. If all we have left is this virtual space, then fly me to the moon. Sinatra me until the moonshine kicks in. Kick the door in. Break the spell. Break a leg. Break a wishbone. Hit the brakes. Don't hit the skids, kids. There's something sticky in the pot. Sanitize it. Buy up all the crap. Sell it back for thrice the price.
COVID cutout. This is the cutout form for you practicing poets. A lot of these came from the headlines online and in print. And it's written in two different columns. I'll read it once as though it's one piece, and then, well, that's all I'll do tonight. We want to get to you guys. COVID cutout. Of the patients, by the patients, for the patients who died, the average age was 81, with or without treatment, effectively fast-tracking the old malaria drug hydroxychloroquine. Members of a private club insist the term Chinese virus of the racists, by the racists, for the racists is racist, is not racist at all. Well, right now, avoid non-essential social racism. It's much more aggressive and more people will die, more than anything in recent history. We've done a great job, the president said.
Cut it out, COVID. We've done a great job, the president said. Off with his head, or soon we'll all be dead. Don't try to say this is a hoax. Don't try this at home, folks. Old folks stuck in bed, barely breathing. This could be the end, friend. First fire and famine always. Now this pestilence of ranting resistors. Don't listen, kitten. There's a street in my neighborhood named Locust. Hocus pocus, joke us, but don't croak us. Hate is here to stay. Don't second guess us. The post-truth tells lies, breeds flies. More nothings than anything in this story. Fake news, fork you. We're setting the precedent.
Revised rhymes for the quarantine. A tisket, a tasket, COVID put me in a casket. Little Jack Horner sits slumped in his corner. Little Bo Peep just died in her sleep. Homeless Miss Muffet sat on a bucket eating some thrown out bread. A bite from a spider put COVID inside her, and that's why Miss Muffet's now dead. Fee, fi, fo, fungs, oxygen can't reach my lungs. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb. She wipes herself with fleece. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a COVID test kit. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill's still up there coughing. Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a COVID cruise that started from this tropic port aboard this princess cruise. The passengers were quarantined, the crewmen all got sick. They're stranded in the harbor still, we'll watch them till they croak. We'll watch them till they croak. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer came home, found his family dead. We all live in a COVID quarantine, COVID quarantine, COVID quarantine.
Do you see what I see during quarantine? Said the tip jar to the barista. Do you see what I see? On every street corner, barista, do you see what I see? Starbucks is closed. Dark all night, dark all day. Not a cappuccino in sight. Not a cappuccino in sight. Said the barista to her landlord, do you hear what I hear? Nothing in my wallet, landlord. Do you hear what I hear? I am broke. I am broke. I have no money. I don't know how I'm going to eat. I don't know how I'm going to eat. Said the landlord's wife to COVID-19. Do you know what I know? In his lungs, oh mighty COVID-19. Do you know what I know? He'll die, he'll die. I'll shiver in the cold. No use, all his silver and gold. No use, all his silver and gold.
You're on fire, Katie. That's great. I'm gonna
Thanks,
skip.
honey. Yeah,
I'm
what
gonna
do you want
skip
to
ahead
read?
to conspiracy.
Okay.
Conspiracy. Mask your mouth with a COVID kerchief. Stay home and die before you're tested. New York has trenches for the dead. Scrub your filthy hands. After 4 weeks of this shit, the news is changing. We're in the hair color phase of hoarding, Walmart's CEO brags. Hair clippers and dye are flying off the shelves. He's an asshole, I think, just like the rest of the rich. How are they protected? No reports of lost Waltons, Buffetts, or Gates, and our dunce in chief still deceives. My biker friend swears this was planned, just like when the blue bloods gave smallpox blankets to the Indians and murdered the white trash in Vietnam. The powerful have immunity drained from the burdened bodies of the poor.
The United States of COVID. Through a high window, a patch of wavy glass fills with new leaves, greening, shimmying in the end of winter, beginning of spring. It is afternoon, and I'm still wearing the red Vera Wang pajamas I slept in last night, the night before. Beside me, my husband dozes in and out, his voice clearing a path through the silence to read for me the latest news. Worldometer keeps count. Every refresh, the numbers soar. Yesterday, we hazarded the outdoors, bought takeout and picnicked in the empty parking lot of the library, looking out toward the vacant hotel. We slathered our hands, the packaging, secular prayer. Today, we watch television on mute. A series of satellite images show weather patterns across the US, states, chalky outlines delineating where one ends, another begins. From this distance, shrouded in muslin, our faces imaged against the clouds, we are stubborn holdouts in our lonely coffin country.
I love that ending line. Lovely coffin country. That's great. Love 19. Son of SARS with pedigree of pestilence, death deliverer, equal curse to Spanish princess and American pauper, deceiver of dunces and torment to travelers, you roam cureless and take my breath away. I love your microscopic red spikes and ivory orb. I'd like to make lollipops in your image. Puffy cupcakes and tattoos too. I quarantine, but await your arrival. My tongue is your red carpet. Please enter, floating contagion, silent slayer, my beloved. Should I start a fan club? Just a cough or sneeze makes me delirious for more news about you. CNN, Twitter, Facebook, Time. Tell me everything. Where were you born? Who's your favorite all-time victim? What's with you and really old people? If you could be any plague in history, what would it be? I'm infatuated. I'm afraid. You're driving me crazy. You roam cureless and take my breath away.
Love in the time of COVID. Two would-be lovers approach, sit at opposite ends of a park bench, exchange sultry glances. The bench is not quite 6 feet long, but they are feeling adventuresome today. From behind their surgical masks, they converse. They can each see the outlines of the other's lips moving. And soon they are both so turned on that they don their surgical gloves and scoot as close as they dare to touch rubber to rubber. She flips her hair. He pulls up his socks. Then both, embarrassed, reach for their Purell.
That's great. How many more do you want to go, Katie? One or two?
Yeah, let's,
and then get to the open?
yeah, how about, I know you want to get to the ones toward the ends. You pick the next one, whatever you want to go with.
Okay. Why don't you read Elegy for the Beloved Stranger, and then I'll read Bodies.
Okay. Elegy for the Beloved Stranger. Not as many people moving. No passers-by, no cars, no buses. This is a morning to grieve. Coffins for the dead, coffee for the living. No coffins, body bags for the virus laden. Not many people moving. Morgues filled to overflowing. Bodies on ice pile up in box trucks. This is a morning to grieve. We navigate the television, roving remotely. This virus lit a fuse. Still, not many people moving. The dead may yet outnumber the living. If through inaction we fail, there will be no excuse. This is a morning to grieve. All of those who were not worth saving, refugees, homeless, prisoners, us, not as many people moving. This is a morning to grieve.
Very powerful. Bodies. When a body meets a body stuffed inside a morgue, all who are not worth saving. Can a body fit more bodies underneath the floor? When a body leaves a body lying in the street, all the poor always with us. Won't somebody, anybody, take it to the morgue? When a body finds some bodies at a rehab home, all ventilated elders, can a body bag more bodies at the hospice door? When a body meets nobody, all of us inside a quarantine of distance, pacing bodies, lonely bodies, searching cures.org. When a body's antibodies show us who got well, later testing positive, can a body, mind or body, suffer anymore? When a body births a body from within a coma, all can still find joy, even when a body reads of bodies stuffed inside a morgue. Let a body kiss a body. Breath has come once more.
Thank you, Johnny. That was great. So do we want to move on to the open mic, or how are you feeling? Did you want to read the ice cream truck?
Yeah, let's read one more each and then get right to the open mic, pardon me. Get right to the ice cream, I almost said.
So you guys might have wondered why Green Sleeves or the ice cream truck song was playing when we opened this event. It's because there is a relationship to a poem, and as just a little bit of backstory. John wrote the first one, and I wrote something in response to it, but we're going to read them out of order. I'm going to read mine first. So let's see. You scream, we all scream. The ice cream truck rolls by, playing Green Sleeves. What a heavy load you are carrying, ice cream man. How to support your family during a pandemic famine with nothing more than ice cream ferried in a van. No children chase after you today. Your truck plays and replays like a roving music box as you circle the park and wait. How will you buy your produce, ice cream man? A family cannot subsist on sweets alone. Some people want to open back up, want us to suck it up. Ice cream man, no offense, but much as I'd like a creamsicle, I'm still scared of what stowaways you may be carrying. The bottom line, ice cream man, is I'm afraid. What child is this whose mother sings him a lullaby to cover the song of the ice cream truck rolling by?
Cold comfort. I know what you're really carrying, ice cream man. Your truck constantly playing Pop Goes the Weasel, damn you. You and your big sticks and fudge sickles and snow cones. Your pretend promise of COVID comfort on a sweet stick. I know what you're really chilling, ice cream man. Pop go the bodies, pop go the corpses. Pop, 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 you weasel, as you drive in and out of the senior trailer park. The morgues are full, but there's room in your truck. You're with the government, aren't you, ice cream man? Keeping the body counts low, hiding the true toll of this crazy pandemic. Thank God I'm still sane. But I finally figured you out. A2 Sunday? All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. All around the mulberry bush, shelter, shelter, shelter.
Wow. So, I haven't looked at the worldometer lately. In fact, I'm very tempted to check right now.
We should take a moment of silence for
We should.
all those we've lost in the past year in this country and in the world.
So as of today, everyone worldwide, there have been 2,713,459 deaths. And in the US alone, that number is, where is the total deaths in the US as of today, 554,104. So yeah, let's please take a moment of silence before we head over to the open mic. Well, we really appreciate you all being here today. It really is, it's a momentous day. I'm just glad that we could be together on this year. At the end of this year of great uncertainty, we are here and, we are doing well. And I think things can only get better from here. So for our first reader, I'm going to bring up Dinah's Coach Builder. And John, let's see, I'm going to remove your spotlight and I'm going to remove mine. And we are going to welcome Dinah's Coach Builder. Dinah, are you here?
I'm right here.
Great. Okay. So, and whenever you're ready. And
I'm going to share 3 poems today with you. The first 2 have been published in Inlandia Institute's posts from the pandemic. So the first one was written in March of 2020. That seems an eternity ago. It's called The Space That Binds Us. I keep washing my hands. 20 seconds, they say. 20 seconds of eternity. From Wuhan to Milan, the breezes blow, invisible currents connecting microbes and mortals. Safe at home, I convince myself, lulled in the backyard patio, gazing at the remote San Bernardino Mountains, 80 miles afar, yet closer than an eyelid's flash. This is the place where my soul strings loosen. They float among double delight roses, sweep over decomposed granite walkways, swoop, encircle, then streaming out over caverns remote, for I am everywhere and nowhere, shedding bits of flesh I never owned, retaining merely essence. The space between an illusion, for there is no space between us, spiritual brethren, all. The next poem was written when California was going through those devastating fires, and equally devastating to us, we didn't know who the next president would be. So it's called A Prayer for America. Fires consumed California. Hundreds of bolts of electricity rained down on dry hill and brush. 3 million acres and thousands of trees lie dying. The birds have been silenced. The cloudless pale blue sky turns to murky gray as the tears of people who have lost their homes mingle in the ash that covers burnt cities, harbingers of misery in America, craving redemption. Desolation and the loss of faith in our country abides. Like Ferlinghetti, we wait to be released from the anarchy of wayward institutions, the politics of self, the lure of mega houses and burgeoning bank accounts, thirsting for a time when the simple virtues of kindness and charity reign. The labor of sharp minds and strong hands honored, a space wherein communities dwell together in bonds of friendship, our nation's creative spirit, a birthright for all, safe, secure, and just. Like Ferlinghetti, we are waiting for fresh air with a sweetness of breath, clear streams and waters that reflect blue skies, tasting little sips of life itself, where animals regain their lands, roaming free, conserved by humankind. Some say it was never so. Then let us build it now. Come, hope, let us embrace you. Heal our divisiveness. Let us fulfill those hallowed promises. Redeem the soul of the nation. Restore its spiritual essence. Many of us have begun to use alternate means of staying close to loved ones and to friends. We FaceTime, and you tell me you learned about how to make a tasty dessert. So I ask you how you made it. And you tell me step by step, peel the banana, then freeze it for a few hours. And when you take it out and mash it, Grandma, it tastes just like ice cream. While I listen, wondering whether I will ever see you grown and dressed for graduation, or warn you of the world's snares as you step out, or hug you as only grandmas can. And will you make it? And I promise, yes, I will make it. Your voice flowing through me as the world continues to turn in a forever.
Well, thank you so much, Danaz. That was lovely. So we're going to bring up our next reader. I'll let her introduce herself. Okay. Yingwu, are you with us? Hi, okay. And please do turn on your video and.
Oh,
hi.
hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, good to see you, Katie. I remember you from Meraki Cafe in San Diego back in the day when we still met in person.
Yeah, when you could hug somebody without fear of death.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's great to hear this wonderful poetry. So I'm just going to read one quick piece, and it's called, I wrote it in the very beginning. It's dated March 26, 2020, so almost a year ago. It's inspired by the huge grocery shortages we experienced early on. So it's called We Are Hands. We are hands, snatching bundle after bundle of 2-ply paper towels and clutching bottled water packs and seizing bags of pinto beans and navy beans and frozen peas. 1 pound is not enough. 2 pounds are not enough. 20 pounds are not enough. Hunger howls in our bellies. Give us bread, give us sanitizer. Life endures for decades. And we waited in the parking lot as the frigid sky turned gray at dawn, each of us with an empty cart as blood pooled in our ventricles, and our lines stretched down the sidewalk as blood expelled from our ventricles, and meadow larks warbled in the curves of our cochlea, and pink apple blossoms floated on the breeze of wayward consciousness. Our lives could last more than a century. We gird ourselves with paper masks. Thank you.
Thank you. And nice to see you again. Hopefully we'll get back out to
Yes,
San
good to
Diego
see
someday.
you.
Okay. So we have our next reader coming up. And if you could turn on your video. There we go.
It did some weird rejoining thing. It freaked me out. I thought it was kicking me out altogether.
Nope. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Katie. I'm reading actually flash fiction. It's called Easy Street. You've been making this trip more than 25 years. This Christmas, though, it's not going to be like always. This year, you drive out alone despite protests from your kids. You don't pack a suitcase. You slow down at Broadway so you can make the turn onto Easy Street. It's a gravel road, not a real street. The post at the corner says, not as easy as it used to be. Now, you know this to be true. As you slow, the mules trot over to the fence and stretch their necks to smell you. Check if you belong. When someone doesn't, the peacock screech like a child being tortured with bedtime or bath. You drive slow. Don't want to dust out neighbor's trailer. He keeps the windows open for fresh air, even on cold winter nights. And sometimes pesticide fumes waft over on a hot desert breeze, mix with his breakfast, choke his breath. After a heavy rain, you know not to park in the dirt lot because mud will suck the tires off your little city car. You got in trouble when that one boyfriend drove his 4-wheel drive truck across the muddy lot. He left deep tracks, and when the sun dried the earth, Daddy had to borrow Mr. Brown's laser machine to level out that mess. He cussed and hollered, and that boy wasn't welcome on Easy Street anymore. You park inside the 9800 gate. When strangers did, Freckles would growl a soft warning, her blue-black hackles on end, before she leaped in the air and tried to chew their faces off. She was only nice to family and kids with sticky hands. Since she died, no one protects the house anymore, and Mama has to lock the doors. You know where to find the spare key. You won't be staying long this time, just a quick gift exchange on the front porch, a bag for Daddy, a box for Mama, and your handmade ornaments to put on their tree. You can see it through the living room window as you cruise down the road, lights on in the middle of the day. You won't sleep here tonight, squished on the bottom bunk with your husband and youngest, who is too tall now. Your hip bone won't wedge in the crack between mattress and wall, face smashed into wood paneling. You'll miss being lulled to sleep by the scratch of bougainvillea vines on the window. You won't hear Hoel's rooster crow as you're about to doze off. It doesn't know how to tell time. You won't hear neighbor's son cruise home just before dawn with his radio blasting heavy metal lyrics you can't understand. This year, you won't be on Easy Street when the sun comes up Christmas Day. Won't turn the couch around to face the tree, open one gift at a time and pose for pictures. You won't eat tamales with eggs and Mama's spicy salsa. You've stayed away for months. You'll stay away for more. You blow Daddy and Mama goodbye kisses through your mask and take the empty Christmas stockings home to fill yourself for the first time ever. You want to stay on Easy Street, but you have to go back to your kids and your job, back to undusty roads and different night sounds. Thank you.
Thank you. And someone in the audience asked your name. So
My name is Tisha Reikli Aguilera.
I knew I would totally botch your last name, but nice to see you again.
I'm worried about time. Wasn't good at introducing myself.
Oh, that's okay. No, thank you for being here. So I don't see Romaine in the audience. Oh, yep, there she is. Hi, Romaine. Whoops. And then you just disappeared. Okay, hold on. Scrolling. All right, Romaine, you are up next. And do turn on your camera and audio.
I don't know if you can you see me?
Oh, no, not yet, but
Oh,
here. Oh, there you are.
okay.
Nice to see you.
Hi, nice to be here. Can I go after somebody else, or am I the last
Oh,
one?
sure. You want to be the last one?
No, I just need to pull up something.
Oh, got it. Okay. So Natalie Champion, I'm going to put you up next. Okay. So we'll see you in a minute, Romaine. No
Okay.
worries. Okay. So Natalie, how are you? Are you ready to go? Natalie, say hi if you're here. I do see you here twice. Okay. But maybe Natalie stepped away. So then after Natalie, Rick, but they are a pair. So if one is not here, oh, Natalie is not Natalie today. Hi, it's Tom and Delia.
Yeah,
Okay.
I couldn't find the numbers, so she sent me her link. So I hope you can find her or whatever eventually.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, how about, do you guys want to go next?
Sure, there you can go.
Okay, I wrote this poem about a year ago when the pandemic first started, and it's called Empty Town. Riverside, like many towns, screams of loneliness. Mass people are the new norm. More staying home. Parks closed to children's dismay. I see despair and emptiness in people's eyes. Store shelves empty. Where has all the toilet paper gone? Commodities and food are scarce. Even the birds have left. Oh my God. Resembles ghost town. When will this pandemic end? Did I get frozen or what?
I don't know.
We still hear you. Keep going.
Okay, that's it. When will this pandemic end?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
I don't know.
Delia.
Did you guys hear the whole thing?
Yeah.
We did.
Okay, I guess I could just pull this mic over here. I mean, the video. Scoot over though. Okay, so I wrote I tried to write several pandemic limericks. I found out what I thought would be easy turns out to be fairly difficult. I thought limericks, that's got to be easy to do. So I picked 3 of them that I wrote during the pandemic. The first one wasn't inspired by anything except the sadness maybe that goes on with it, but shelter in place against virus satanic. Whatever you do, just do not panic. Staying home alone, my testosterone defended by a wishful fanatic. That's the first one. The wishful fanatic being, of course, ex-president, everybody knows. But then I said, well, limericks are supposed to be a little more, if you can put in humor during a pandemic, limericks are supposed to contain some humor. And I received some pictures from my granddaughter of her and her girlfriends in San Diego on the beach just enjoying themselves. So I wrote a limerick about them on the beach. Young ladies lying on the beach, beware. You certainly entice the men to stare. Bars like a ghost, looking for a host. That is something you do not want to share. Okay. Then the third one, I noticed my son, he likes to drink a lot of beer, and during the pandemic, he drank more beer. Okay, so that inspired me to write a third limerick. I sit at home and drink my beer. COVID has turned my life to fear. Frequent trips to store, always wanting more, hoard enough Corona to persevere. That's the three, Kate.
Thank you so much. So
Natalie got on too.
yeah, we're going to follow
Ready.
Tom and Delia with their daughter and son-in-law. And I believe I have the right one. They're both in there as doppelgangers today. Here we go. Hi, Natalie.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So the poem I'm going to read is called, I'm Natalie Champion, and the poem I'm going to read is called, shut the door over there, Dark-Eyed Junco. And I wrote this poem because outside my balcony window, we had cherry blossom trees, and I heard a bird singing, and my cat Milo was talking to the bird. He would talk to the bird, and the bird would keep singing back to him, so they were communicating. And I wrote this on April 26, 2020. Dark-Eyed Junco. Dark-eyed junco in a cherry blossom tree singing, come outside, why don't you? Escape from hiding indoors. Beckoning balcony doors may tempt us, but do not heed dark-eyed junco's call. And that's it for my poem, short and sweet. Rick, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, Rick's gonna take the hot seat.
Okay, sweet.
This poem is called Dummies. Challenge. Read during the plague. I suggest epidemiology for dummies. Why? Consider who was living at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That person could have delegated the ordering, could have afforded to pay himself. But was that going to happen? No. I would have to place a gift order. Surprise. The great server in the sky responded, unable to complete your order. Never had the great server been so brief, quick, and definitive. Was the great server politically correct? Objecting to "for dummies" in the title? Not likely. Similar books were selling briskly. Was epidemiology for dummies sold out? Not likely. Somewhere in America, there had to be at least one copy, even if used, and the great server should have been able to find it. The true reason epidemiology for dummies has not yet been written. Perhaps an intrepid self-publisher will take up the challenge. How do y'all feel about prepayment? That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Rick. So we're going to bring Romaine back into the spotlight. If you're ready, Romaine.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So, okay, here we go.
Okay. From inside a burning building. I am writing from inside a burning building. The cell phone in the corner keeps asking, how am I doing? What do I see? Does it hurt as bad as it smells? I have lost my sense of smell, but understand we must document these things because we are here and still alive. My hair is charcoal. Skin is peeling layers of tears. Scientists say the skin weeps when it is badly burned. The air tastes like tires, though I have never tasted a tire. This is how I imagine it tastes. This is what I must tell the cell phone so that it has a simile to understand. There are really no words to describe how it feels to be inside a burning building. There are no words to capture the sensation of walls eating you alive. I look at windows exploding, knowing they will be there tomorrow, the same time, ready to explode again. My cell phone rings. COVID is calling from a hospital bed. I cannot visit my friend whose fever is so high she is hallucinating. She says, I am sweat pouring from my eyes, yelling at me. There are stories to be written. She says, I am sorry, but I can't. She hangs up the phone. Tomorrow she is telling me, it feels good to be quarantined where the sheets are white and the quiet is eating me alive. That's my quarantine point.
Oh, thank you, Romaine. So, all right. So now we're going to bring up our next reader. I wish we could have everybody read all night. But we have somebody new to our area, not in our area, but out of the area. You're on mute.
Hi, guys. I
go.
really appreciate Katie. Can you hear me?
Yes, got it. We can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay. I really appreciate the different projects you've been doing, and especially Pomelian, but also all of the Inlandia projects as well. And this new work, bringing the pandemic to us. Well, not that, I mean, well, it was actually here. It was everywhere. I mean, one of the things I was thinking today was how much, how specific it is, you know, like if you're lucky or you live in a region where it's a little less versus a region where it's more, your life is so different. And anyway, I'm going to read some poems, 3 short poems. Acton Street Mornings 17. Rising pitch marks intake of breath, exhale, a sigh. Mottled rose, which may or may not indicate a virus. Light between branches illuminates the pauses in our talk. Stamens and pistils represent summer love beside the overgrown path. Fennels, fractal history, overlapping record of growth. In this landscape, find balance between bucolic and flammable. Little yellow no things low to the ground, splash of sunlight. Gala apples begin to ripen, too heavy for their branches. In my backyard, as we say, late afternoon shadows, 2 chairs. In the dreamline, mothers and their children jostled, refused distance. The cat pursues a fragment of sun, morning returns. That kind of famous. My neighborhood is famous for its abundance of streetlights. Interrupted nights fold into each other. Who am I to complain, to speak? First, you're Cassandra, then events catch up. Rarely can it be said that your risk is my risk, my dear. Here, crows space themselves evenly on overhead wires. Even more in this era, in sickness or in health, reverberates. And this last poem, January notebook, you'll figure out, but I think the month is important. It's about this most recent January. January notebook. After yesterday's insurrection, sun returns, moss after the rains. I lived through fire season, masked, afraid of that orange light. Rose hips dry on the vine, time to write outrage. Fruit and shadows against the wall of the old school, Sunday. Pink promise of change, low to the ground, nearly hidden, less than 2 weeks. Nestled, that doll reflects light, hides all else. The paint is toxic. All of the greens, one red leaf, distinguishes desired from weeds. Rainy season. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol, and thanks for always being involved in our projects from afar. And I love having you in Poemillion. Folks
Thank
out here
you.
may not know what that is, but that's a literary journal that I edit outside of Inlandia. So now we're going to bring up our next reader. And readers, you might notice I'm going to promote you to panelist while the reader prior to you is speaking, so that we can just get a jump on things. So nice to see you.
Hi, I'm Tom Albaugh. I'm going to read just one poem that I wrote early in the pandemic. It appeared in Global Poemic Kindred Voices last fall. And it's dealing with grief during the pandemics. It's called The Walk. Sometimes out in the neighborhood, walking baseline, pandemic edge of our new world, the few cars break silence, the stoplights still green and red for imagined old constructions of traffic and ghosts of citrus branches. And then I take the same roads you did because that's what you did every day, those last years of high school, though not as far and not for as long, nor with the same destination. The distorting monsters offered your saddled thoughts, shortness of breath, making my walking further impossible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is V.W. Barrett in the audience? I don't see your name on the list, so if you're here, okay. So we're going to go with our next reader, who is Nan Friedley. And Nan, bear with me while I find you, because you were here. There you are. Okay. So wait for your video.
There you go.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Oh, red. Strange. Okay, this one, my poems tonight are called Six Pack of Senryus. Senryal number 1, limit 1, eyes above a mask, search barren shelves for that last roll of paper towels. Senryal number 2, through his window. Happy birthday, Dad. Celebrate 92 years in your room alone. Senryal number 3, flight 1412, sitting between 2 masked men, wondering which one tested positive. Senryal number 4, new normal, waiters wearing masks, fine dining in parking lots, tables under tents. Senryal number 5, Zoom school, checkerboard children, microphone muted, eager to wave hello. Last Senryu, Halloweenless, trick or treat canceled, no COVID candy for me, still wearing my mask. That's it.
Thank you, Nan. That was great. So we're bringing up our next reader. Wait for her camera to be on. Robin, are you ready? Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. So this poem was written in September when the wildfires were going crazy out here. And it was like dueling with two pandemics. It's called Ingathering. The hooded orioles have gone to Mexico for the winter. Feeders cleaned and stowed away. The days grow shorter, but no cooler. The sun, neon red against the smoke-choked skies. Families wearing masks, bicycle and rollerblade past our white picket fence and newly landscaped yard. Our world is otherworldly now and smaller. The news on our screens persistent as the tap, tap, tap of the raven against our windows. But on this night, without stars, we take our cues from the sun, now gone from our sight, and listen to the beckoning of the thick blue blanket on the gray sofa with too many dogs and noisy cats, to the Creole Days candle, hours of bad TV and police pursuits. In our tiny harbor of hope, we have all we need.
Thank you so much, Robin. So next up, we have Jasmine, if you're ready. Let's see. Jasmine, are you here? Hi. Okay.
Hi. So I am Jasmine Elizabeth Smith, and I love the earlier response of thinking about a pandemic kind of within a pandemic. So I'm going to read a poem that is inspired by the recent events of racial injustice here in America. It's called Speculative Fiction, written on January 6, 2021. On January 6, 2021, when pro-Trump rioters attempted to swarm Capitol Hill, impeding the democratic process of certifying the 2020 presidential electoral votes, National Guard officers stand armed and ready. Those who obstruct justice are immediately detained on Class D felony charges, punishable up to 26 years in prison. When referring to violence, mainstream media outlets refer to insurrectionists as supremacists, domestic terrorists, thugs. In suburbs of Harrison, Arkansas, Yucaipa, California, Racine, Wisconsin, mothers cover their faces with coffee grinds and lower their blinds in shame. On October 1st, 2019, Botham Jean finishes a bowl of vanilla ice cream while watching television. He contemplates eating a second, but instead just brushes his teeth and goes to bed. When Amistad sails from Havana, Cuba to Newport, Rhode Island, Singa P and his crew are celebrated Mendes explorers, botanists, translators, naturalists, chartered by Sierra Leone to establish complex trade routes between West Africa and indigenous populations of the Caribbean. In 2018, Stacey Abrams wins Georgia's statewide elections. She is elected as the state's first Black governor. When 14-year-old Emmett Till purchases 2 cents of bubble gum from Bryant's grocery store and meat market, Carolyn Bryant recognizes what she first mistakes as a sound of a whistle as a boy's lisp as he turns to say goodbye. There is no white guilt, no tender sorrow, no memoir to be released by the Southern Historical Collection in 2036, no late blooming regret for Mammy Till after the death of one of Brian's sons. The Justice for Victims lynching bill, classifying lynching defined as bodily, emotional, or financial injury on basis perceived of race, color, religion, nationality as a federal hate crime, is passed unanimously by Congress in 1900. The land has never been utilized as a weapon, nor the weight of our bodies forced upon it. I repeat, the land has never been utilized as a weapon, nor the weight of our bodies forced upon it. Our mothers who raise us never feel their chests constrict in panic. They do not strike out a vengeance at a nation that will murder their children. There is no vigil, no paraffin wax burned to the collar of paper plates, and our fingers, no taking of knees or the pinning of carnations to the television's litany of obituaries. In every outcome of this story, Eleanor Bumper celebrates her 102nd birthday with her family and her unevicted apartment. Inside the sleeve of a birthday is a check for $98.65. No one has died.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Jasmine. You know, I know readers will want to, or listeners will want to know where they can get your book. And I know you have exciting news. So congratulations. Feel free to, if you want to drop your website in the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
So next up, we have Brian Franco. Brian, you ready?
Yeah, something just happened with my computer.
Right, I changed you to panelist.
Oh, that's what was going on. Oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry I'm late.
No problem.
Okay, so this is called A Random Act. It was a cold, drizzly December Maine afternoon. Not cold enough for snow. Not a strong enough rain to call it real rain. It had snowed an inch or 3 that morning. Not enough to take out a shovel. Easy enough to drive through. The type of snow that gets melted away by a couple or 4 hours of rain. I drove the 45-minute weekly road trip to wait in line about 15 minutes to enter Trader Joe's and exited with 2 bags. I rolled my cart 2 parking lot aisles over to the cart receptacle, and while walking back to my car, I saw a woman holding several bouquets of flowers, carefully placing cellophane wrapped packages stem and down under windshield wipers. I asked her what she was doing. She said that on a day like today, she thought people wouldn't mind getting flowers from a stranger. She extended her right arm toward me and offered me a bouquet. I hesitated to accept, but accepted. I suddenly felt flattered and thanked her. She smiled and responded, just a random act of kindness. I got in my car and inspected the carnations and chrysanthemums that looked like they were painted with melted Skittles. I began to giggle. I felt a few warm tears roll down my cheek. I reached around to the pocket in the back of my seat to grab a roll of paper towels to tear one off to use as a Kleenex. I wiped my tears and blew my nose and started laughing again. I heard my mother's spirit telling me that crying when happy is genetic. Suddenly, I could feel my father's arm stretch across my shoulders, giving me a gentle pat. My Uncle Sam was offering me a slice of gooseberry pie for breakfast and a shot of after-dinner aquavit. My Aunt Lila was explaining to me that Velveeta was the secret to a good pot of cheese grits. I think she would have approved of my version with Asiago, coconut milk, curry leaf, lime zest, and white pepper. My Aunt Charlotte was tightly hugging me, acknowledging that her secret depression wasn't something I had to keep secret. My Uncle Ralph offered me an ice-cold Fresca and told me he was no longer afraid to converse with his teenage nephew he thought might be gay. My friend of over 21 years, Beth, wasn't telling me she had decided to discontinue chemotherapy, but instead was making her famous potato soup, while her giant yellow lab, Ebenezer, was asking me to rub his belly. This random act of kindness flooded my heart with sunshine. The sun was refusing me that cold, drizzly December rain afternoon. This random act of kindness allowed me to feel a little less pandemic isolation sad, a little less afraid, and a little less alone. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Brian. So next up, we are going to bring up Monica Hernandez. Monica, if you're ready. And if anybody else would like to read, raise your hand and I'll call on you, because we did have some folks who couldn't make it tonight. So we have a little extra time.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, I'm Monica Hernandez. So I chose one that goes along with your guys' theme of the pandemic. When we did our groups, we did them of different themes in nature, but this was one of the subjects we did speak about. So mine is called My Call to All Healers. I'm calling all healers to bring forth your gifts. If you do not think that this is for you, keep on reading till you get the gist. I'm asking for all to show up in kind. It's time to step up and show us you shine. To the poets and writers, start typing away. Journal and post and blog your hearts away. Face painters and street artists, car clubbers and tow truck responders. To the painters and graphic designers, chalk artists too, the pencil pushers and inkers, you're part of it too. To the people that have the gift of speech, speak. Marchers march, prayers pray, organizers organize, protectors protect. To the creators of buildings, crafting, Pinterest gurus. To the farmers and growers of our food. To the cooks and the chefs and the food vendors too. To the engineers, the scientists and common folk everywhere. Inventors and thinkers, we call to your healing gifts to come up with new plans to save our waters, our air, and our lands. To the teachers and daycare aides and stay-at-home parents, the nannies and grandparents that comfort our children, the students who were placed here in this time to really be the change in the game now. Even the preggers create the most healthy child inside of you as your situation permits, regardless of having a clue of how it came to be. You are a gift to that child and that child to our world. To all the performers, the music makers, the spinners, the rappers, the drummers, the guitar picker, all the magic sound makers, the singers, the hummers, the movers and shakers, dancers and yogis, and mantra sound breathers, bless us with your grace. To the business owners, merchants of all kinds, the manufacturers, the packers, the pickers, form creators, and the products you bring at all reasonable rates, the Tupperware sellers and home sewn good makers, to the gamers that make fancy lands and board game creators from Dungeons and Dragons and magic card shufflers and crystal grid placers, to the first responders and doctors and nurses and staff, continue to heal and comfort and aid. To the brothers and sisters and bringers home of the bacon, the healers of energy and processors of emotion, to the prayer warriors and ceremony makers, the crystal carriers and candlelight makers, to the lovers and the loved and the seekers of the truth, the Facebookers and Twitterers, Snapchatters and social media makers, share your awareness and positive posts, sign the petitions and gather support for all that is harmful and destroying this earth. If you have the gift of the gab, I'm calling you too. Start spreading the news. Know that for sure your gift is precious too. I'm calling all healers of all forms, of all faiths, and of those of none. If you haven't already heard, it's time to start sharing your purpose for being, that which you have carried from birth to help bring in the new night. Whatever your gift, do it more often. Do it with joy and share it with glee, wherever it's wanted. If you are creating, even in secret, in thought and in breath, send out its vibe and transform the rest. We were born to create and to share with us all the gift of all healing for one, for all and for one. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm wondering if you were in Christina's workshop. Yeah. Christina is here, but she had to step away. She's supposed to read, but she may be off tending to a baby. Christina, if you're here, go ahead and type in the chat or put, whoops. Sorry, I am doing some, put you back in the audience, Moni. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So Christina, if you do get back, raise your hand and give me a sign that you want to read. With that, I'm going to bring up Jane O'Shields Hayner. So welcome, Jane.
It's wonderful to see everyone. It's been far too long. This poem I wrote, I think it was late in last summer. It's called Consider Compassion. Consider how compassion births the world. Remember the patient lick of the mare's tongue that cold morning, and how steam rose as she bathed the shivering foal. Remember how the stable dog barked, backing toward them, and growled almost silent when the stallion stood at the whiteboard fence and pawed the sand. Consider how compassion rescues the world. We carried a picnic and sailed to the island, finding long-legged chicks in an orphaned nest. You packed them in the belly of the boat where we ferried them home, where they lived at your door, even after you were gone. And your mother continued tossing them bits of bread. Consider how compassion heals the world. Recall how the British women brought food to children starving in the bombed out streets of Berlin, and how every hungry belly was precious to them, was where they found God. Remember how they served brown bread and porridge, and always a bowl of chocolate soup, fragrant, thick. It coated the insides of their swollen bellies and soothed their grieving eyes. Recall how it made them smile. Consider how compassion compels us. When we heard the dogs barking down the hillside in the ravine, and you walked through the early spring chill into the tall snowy grasses, emerging with an injured fawn. Recall how we wrapped her in a blanket and slept with her beside our bed in that cold winter house on Dunham Hill. Recall how we wept when the doctor pushed the needle into her brown spotted rump. Remember how she fell into our arms. Recall how the snow-covered road we climbed going home, past the ravine, past the dead grasses of another summer. We watched the sun slide away and the snow joined seamlessly with the sky, turning everything blue before we slumbered, before the next certain dawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. That was great. So now, and you, I think, were in Stephanie's workshop last year. So we'll bring up Stephanie Barbae Hammer as our next reader. Stephanie leads a poet try workshop with Inlandia. And we're getting ready to start up the next one on April 5th, if anybody's interested. And here she is.
Hey there, everybody. Thank you so much, Katie and John, and a big shout out to all of the poets who've read so far and all those who are going to read. Just amazing work. I was working on a spiritual practice last spring that's called Counting the Omer, and it's a Jewish contemplative practice where for 49 days you meditate on 2 different qualities a day. So this is day 23, and it's awe and endurance. This poem goes out to Mr. Willie Levi, former turkey slaughterer, who died of COVID, the New York Times and the Des Moines Register reported. The slaughterer, AKA shochet, must have the highest moral character, the Talmudists tell us. He inhabits the intersection of living and dead. Institutionalized, forced to work, Mr. Levi and 32 other men sued their employer, Henry's Turkey Service, a labor broker, accused of exploiting their disability, paying 41 cents an hour. Mr. Levi, I'm glad you won that case, but I wish you'd made it home like you wanted, found your family and headed back to Orange, Texas. I'm sorry that didn't happen. So why does reading about your work make me feel better? Knowing that you patted down, talked to, and soothed those about to be slain turkeys. Okay, Tom, quieten down. They said you told each bird in the paper. Why can't we live? Why can't we just live? The young, handsome Uber driver asked me on the way to the airport before the lockdown, my last trip to the city. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our next reader is someone I've not met before. So welcome and thank you for joining us, Brian Smith. Are you here? Hi. Okay. And whenever you're ready.
Am I on?
You're on. Good.
Awesome. So in the very beginning of last year, I started this little art journal, and I did some poetry, I did art, I did a lot of fun stuff, where it's just really more writing from my heart, and or writing from things going on that really meant something to me. And I waited for 2020, and I was like, I want to write something about this pandemic. And finally, I had something to say. I'll show you the picture. It's called, if it's backwards, it says, "Welcome to Bandit Land." All right. Welcome to Bandit Land, where open faces are banned in most places. The eyes are the only doors to emotion and identity. The voices of the needy are mumbled by the masks forced upon them, officialized by the high-powered humble who aren't doing what they're saying, but pointing their fingers at those who are. Fault is aimed at the ones stepping lightly, and blame is their distraction from being forced off the seats they sit upon, while others cry out in pain. In Bandit Land, the high structures grow higher, while the lower sink into the ground. Welcome to Bandit Land. You're free to live, free to leave, but regardless of your choice, you're here. And this is always, I didn't know where to end it. This is how it ends, but I never thought this was the ending. So I want to write more about it. I don't know how. I'm just waiting for more inspiration to come to me. And so I've worked in retail throughout this whole pandemic, and Bandit Land just seems like the right name for what's going on right now. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. We've got writing workshops. Go to the Inlandia Institute website, and maybe you'll be inspired to try something. They're all online right now.
Oh, I will definitely look it up.
All right. So our last reader of the evening, unless I see another hand go up, and I see some poets out there, if there's somebody who wants to throw up your hand at the last second, is Lisa Sanchez. And welcome, Lisa. And I think Lisa's going to read us some flash fiction. Let's see. Are you here? Oh.
Unmute.
Oh, hello. Okay, good. Because I know we were just chatting.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take the sticky note off my camera. Okay.
I've done that. Okay.
I wasn't planning to read, but I have this little flash fiction that I wrote a while ago, and I'm so inspired by everybody's work that I thought I would share it. Okay, this is called The Other Side of the Window. Imagine Central Park. Shrink it down and put it in the reddest red city of blue California. Now align it with picture window houses. Can you see the woman inside, living in isolation? As you stroll about the park that she must now avoid, would you look in her window and see her? Maybe you'd grow bold and move closer. You're furious with the governor who stole your freedom. His stay-at-home orders are not in the Constitution. At night, you go online and troll your neighborhood chat group. Some lady thinks the park is too crowded, says she has a bird's eye view. This must be the lady in the window. She wants people to mind their distance. So you return the next day and pass people ever more closely. You walk with a vengeance because someone stole your freedom and your sheriff went on YouTube promising not to enforce any orders. You heard the words yourself. This is not a police state or a declaration of martial law. You don't care that your county has the highest infection rate apart from Los Angeles, or that the sheriff who winked and said, do what you want, has 1,000 infected inmates and employees. You don't care that this neighbor lady might die if she catches COVID. She went online and begged you to be considerate. She knows you don't care. She deserves to die. Fired up, you rally your friends. You send them down her street to point and stare. Let's get this woman who stole our freedom. When she ignores you, you step off the sidewalk and onto her grass, closer each day until finally you're peeping in her window. Still unsatisfied, you go back online and tell her to close her curtains. Your president says, open this country. Your mayor wants an insurrection. This lady better shut right up. How dare she notice you in the public park? She'd best stop looking out her window. There are a few things you don't know about this woman. She bought her home when the price was low. She was a teacher and she raised her son there, but he's grown now and she's alone. You ignored her when she said she was disabled, that she'd really like to walk in the park, if only you would give her some space. You ignored her because you know she can see you, and she might be looking right now, noticing your hypocrisy, which is painful because Lord said, do unto others, and you're only doing for yourself. If you infect someone, that's their problem. They should have stayed out of the park. They'd better mind their reckless eyeballs.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with us that real recent work. So we have with us now Christina Guillen, who many people will recognize because she was our program coordinator before Janine, and she left us to go off and have a baby. So I'm glad you're here. And let's see, if you're ready, unmute and, oh, okay. So, yay, we get to meet baby Perla.
Hi, everyone. I haven't used Zoom in so long. Everyone can hear me fine. It's good. Here's Perla. So I'm going to read a couple from Natural Inspiration. So Natural Inspirations came about as a way to gain footing when the pandemic started. And I would like to start off with, we did a few poems about the pandemic as like a vision quest. So I have vision quest in the time of COVID. Intention for retreat at home. Open my eyes to all possibilities. Focus on the positive, a compass in the midst of chaos. Seated in the eye of the storm. Pachamama, the mother, is always here. Watch the space between things. The space makes pictures, holds things I need to know. Spider webs fill negative space around tree leaves. Connection everywhere, every point the center, everyone the center. And then another one that's pretty short is called Mother Rose. And this is about a crystal that I have that's a rose quartz that was given to me from a friend, and we did a workshop on stone people. So we talked about all of our favorite stones and what they mean to us and wrote about them. So Mother Rose, blushing crystal, smooth baby cheek, holding you to the light. Your milky spiderwebs swing inside. Your weight, the grounding of the earth, a soft invitation to settle in. She calls to me when I'm sad, when I can't sleep, when my belly cries and my mind is fried. Her cool quartz reassures me. It's only life, child. It's okay to feel and rest a while. Thank you, everyone. Everyone did a great job. And Monica, thanks for your reading and for being a part of the Natural Inspirations Workshop. Thanks, Katie and John.
Thank you, Christina. That was great to see you. And I think it would be a good time for me to show you guys the chapbook. So, whoops, trying to spotlight myself. Hi again, because I can't get enough of that baby. So Christina mentioned the Natural Inspirations chapbook or the workshop, and that was just published as an electronic chapbook. And I have dropped links in the chat. Inlandia actually produced 3 of those during the pandemic, in addition to John Bender and my book. The first one was this one. Share my screen. And it is a flippable ebook. So grab that link from the chat and save it somewhere. Lots of poems. These were the collaborations that we did on Facebook for the first 75 days of the pandemic. And what I wanted to show you, where did it go? This is a list of all the contributors. So we had a lot of folks participate in that. So thank you to everyone. I know some of you are here today. We also published the others. I'll show you what Stephanie's workshop did, and it was called Pandemic Summer, in part because they wanted Pandemic Spring. And I knew I'd heard that somewhere, that it was just such a great name. We'll call it Pandemic Spring. And I realized later that I'd inadvertently stolen it from Stephanie. So with apologies, we became Pandemic Spring and then Pandemic Summer. And this came out of Stephanie's Poet Try workshops last spring. Lots of contributors. Definitely grab the link from the chat. It is there. Read through them all. And lastly, I'm going to show you the Natural Inspirations. I know we're a few minutes over time here, but I just want to be sure that everybody gets a taste of what is in these books. Natural Inspirations was a focused workshop with Christina over Zoom, as she explained, writing on writing prompts for the natural world. So definitely grab those. They are free. They are fully accessible on the web. And we also did on our online literary journal. I don't know if you guys know that Inlandia has an online literary journal, which is inlandiajournal.net. But we have been posting periodically in a series called Posts from the Pandemic. So I'm going to drop that link into the chat as well. Some of our readers tonight read from that, including Dinaz. So there is the link. So thank you all for being here and for sharing in this moment. And yes, anybody who has anything you'd like to share, we've really enjoyed all of your writing. If you have a link that you want to share to our guests. And John is saying you can share, or you can save the chat. You can also, John is suggesting Control A, but you can also, if you click on the 3 little dots in the lower right side of the pane, it should say save chat. But if not, I will save the chat to make sure, and I'll send it out to everybody so you can have access to that.
Katie, when we save it that way, where does it go?
I get it. And actually where it goes on your, you should see it on your computer. You might have to look for it, but it opens up in a text edit program. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And great reading, everybody. Wow, that was fantastic.
So thank you. And here I was trying to add and bring Janine back. And we can all just say thank you all for being here.
Thank you all for being here.
And thank you all for surviving this year. My good piece of news is I got my first vaccination shot today. So one year on the 1 year anniversary mark of the shutdown. So
That's awesome.
We all should go in good health and write more, and we will see each other again soon. Maybe even next Friday. In fact, we have something coming up next Friday. Stillwater Saints, yes. So that's the One Community, Many Voices. We will have Alex Espinosa in conversation with Ricky Rodriguez about his book as part of our California Humanities funded program, community read program. So thanks again to everybody. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you again soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.